home down on Front Street, and we'll pass that when we leave. Then he built this house later to make it harder for the slave catchers to deal with it. From this point, he could look over to the Kentucky Bank. That's Mason County, Kentucky. And he could see those who were trying to get their freedom. You can look right down the river to about 50 miles from Cincinnati. You can see 20 miles in that direction. And so this was his fort. Twice, slave catchers came up here and got in a fight with Reverend Rankin's family. One time they tried to burn the barn down. One time they shot one of the slaves. One of the slave catchers got shot. A man named Dr. Beasley lived in that cream colored house with the red roof. He also was a conductor. He treated both people. Reverend Rankin, when you got here, they would hide you up in the attic of the house. They would hide you in the back porch, down under the back porch of the basement. You could hide down in there. But in most cases, they didn't keep you here very long. When somebody arrived here, he had two sons that would guard the house. When somebody showed up, they got the horse together, put you on a horse, rode you about 6 to 20 miles from this house to another station, and they hopscotched that way all the way to Lake Erie to get freedom. Rankin was a phenomenal man. Not only was he an early conductor on the Underground, but he was an abolitionist. He was preaching about the abolition of slavery. He traveled all the way to New York, all over Pennsylvania, and many times Mrs. Rankin and the children were left here by themselves. Slave catchers knew people were hiding here, but many of them did not deal with this man because he told you, I will shoot you if you come on my property trying to harm my family or those who I'm giving shelter. Reverend John Rankin. He worked hand in hand with another black man named John Parker. We're going to go by his house on our way out. He was a black conductor that you heard Miss Nona Marshall talk about. One day the slave catchers got the drop on Reverend Rankin and the family. And y'all know who saved the day, don't you? Mr. John Parker comes up with his big shotgun and says, drop him. He was a bad brother. These two men had such a large bounty on their head, dead or alive. It wasn't funny. John Parker, he would never walk on the sidewalks. He walked in the middle of the street. He carried a big gun, a big knife, and his big dog Major. These were some serious people. When we made the turn on 3rd Street, there was a hotel here. One day slave catchers were in the community trying to find this man who was escaping. 40 of the African Americans in this community held these folks in the hotel with guns, would not let them come out until that black man could get a good distance away from here to escape on the Underground. The terminology Underground Railroad got its start in 1831. There was a black man named Tice Davis. His father was a slave master, but Tice Davis didn't want to be a slave. Y'all see the mighty river out there? The landmass ran another city block. But Tice Davis didn't have a boat, but he could swim, brothers. And when they tell you that black folk couldn't swim, oh, we can swim. We sung the first country western music. Y'all know that? Oh, yeah. We did Coggin, Britain at the side. Tice Davis was swimming. Slave master said, I'll get him. I'll go get a boat. By the time the slave master got a boat, poor Tice said, swam over here to the lumber yard. Slave master got over there and said, you see my slave? And the guy said, no. Slave master was angry. He said, damn, he must have gone on an underground road. So slave masters and slave catchers started using the terminology underground road. These folks started adding underground railroad because the train system was developing in the United States of America. Y'all follow that? So it got its birth right here in Ripley, Ohio. That spanned the river. My own great-great-grandfather, Addison White, swam that span in 1857 after he escaped from Cleveland County, Kentucky. He was an enslaved African. He was a freedom seeker on the Underground Railroad. He was a freedom fighter in Fort Massachusetts. Just glory. He fought with them. He went out of Cleveland County, Kentucky. He was called Ohio's most famous fugitive on the Underground Railroad. And this is the man that I'm telling you that Reverend Charles Williams and Mrs. Williams made it possible for me to learn that part of my history. For you, the family, to be here, to be a part of helping me learn that history, I thank you. And knowing that history, children, has taken your cousin, Sister Peggy, and I all across this country. It's taken us to California, to Texas, to Oklahoma, to South Carolina, Tennessee, Chicago, New York, Washington, D.C., Canada. We have met thousands of people. But I'm going to tell you, the greatest joy I ever get is talking to my own folk. So this is one of the biggest days of my life, to be able to be here with you all and to see you young people make that journey and see Uncle Charles make that journey. That's awesome. Okay? So with this being the case, give you something to think about, elders. We do another journey where we actually camp out overnight. What we do the first day, we go to all the hiding places. At nighttime, we cross on a ferry boat in Augusta, Kentucky. We come up here to Ripley. We make the climb, but we do it in the dark. We have one light in the front, one light in the back. And when we camp out right over here with just sleeping bags, no tents. The reason I'm telling you all of this, when we came up, we learned about people like Reverend Rain. But the majority of our ancestors who got their freedom, they didn't have a conductor. You couldn't trust anybody. Y'all follow me? So they didn't have a house to hide in. They had a field to hide in, corn stalks, tobacco fields, out in the forest, up in trees, in the caves, by any means necessary to save their life. And as you was coming up those steps, if you saw these stone steps under it, those are the original steps. The little plaques you saw on the wooden steps are people who gave money for those steps. They were built by the U.S. Corps of Engineers. Those are the third set of steps. The original steps came straight up. But can y'all imagine when y'all made that journey if you had taken your shoes off, but you didn't have any shoes? Could you imagine if it was in the dead of winter and all you had is what was on your back? Can you imagine that? We come from some tough people. Y'all follow me? I'm going to tell you one last thing and I'll shut up and let you ask me questions. I want y'all to remember what my mother told me. My mother, the mother of 10 children. She said, son, life is not fair. Never has been, never will be. But it doesn't mean give up. It means that you have to find a better way. That's what our ancestors were doing. And that's why we're celebrating right now. Because your grandmother, your great-grandmothers, your great-great-grandparents, they were seeking to find a better way. They didn't die so that we could live. They were trying to live. But thousands of them were murdered, lynched, burned, tore apart. And when you think about Christ being beat with the cat o' nine tails and the things he went through, that's the same kind of things our ancestors went through. We got a reason to celebrate Easter. If anybody can celebrate Easter, we can do that. Y'all follow me? Okay. So with that being said, I'll let you explore the grounds. We'll get back on the bus here in a few minutes, and we'll head back to the hotel so that you can take all that in. Y'all got my cards. Call me anytime. I don't turn in until 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm back up on the floor by 9 o'clock, okay? All right. Because we can't tell you this story in a second, in a minute, or a day, a week, a year, a month. This is a lifetime story that starts at the beginning of time. Thank you so much. Thank you.